What do you think happens when we die, Keanu Reeves?
I know that the ones who love us will miss us.
He is the saddest and at the same time the kindest actor in Hollywood. He is the inimitable devil's advocate and funny Ted. He is the relentless John Wick, and of course, the one. The stunning Keanu Reeves is the hero of today's video on the Biographer channel. Why did Keanu almost die several times? How did he survive the hardest tragedies in his life? And what was he sad about in that very photo? Let's find out right now. Keanu Charles Reeves was born on September 2, 1964 in the capital of Lebanon, Beirut. His mother, Patricia Bond, was a showgirl and his father, Samuel Reeves, was a geologist. Keanu owes his spectacular appearance to Hawaiian and Portuguese roots of his father and English and Irish roots of his mother. Such an unusual name of the boy came from the Hawaiian language and translates "cool breeze over the mountains." Keanu Reeves' father wasn't just a simple man.
He did not have a higher education and even received a matriculation certificate during his imprisonment in Hawaii, on charges of selling illegal substances at the airport. Over time, he began not only to sell substances, but also to use them.
2 years after Keanu's birth, a new member of the family, baby Kim, was born. As soon as Keanu turned 3, Samuel abandoned the family.
Subsequently, he was arrested more than once for possession and sale of prohibited substances.
Patricia could not count on his participation in the children's lives or even on alimony. At the age of 13, Reeves met his father on the island of Kauai for the first time. After that, he stopped communicating with him for many years. I didn't have a father. Perhaps I would like to have him. You feel it especially acutely when you start to grow up and you need a man's advice. I can't say that I was very worried about the inability to communicate with Sam. For me, it was a complete stranger. After the breakup, Patricia moved to Sydney in search of greener pastures, where she got a job as an assistant organizer of performances. She was paid little, and life in Australia was much more expensive than in Lebanon. The woman changed men one by one. In the end, Patricia decided to try her luck in New York. The next move was not easy for the children. The brother and sister were just getting used to Australia, and the next change of scenery was very stressful for them. But in New York, Keanu was, for the first time, behind the scenes of the theater, where Patricia got a job for a while. Little Keanu loved being part of the magical process of creating the show. In fact, children usually want to become someone whose work they see every day. The theater was home for me. We'd been hanging around behind the scenes since childhood, so I simply did not have a special choice. But they didn't stay in New York for long. Keanu was 6 years old when his mother married Broadway director Paul Aaron. The family moved to Toronto. From that time, Keanu has always considered hospitable Canada to be his homeland. Originally being qualified in design, Patricia decided to start a career as a costume designer and was very successful in this. She created images of Emmylou Harris, Dolly Parton, and David Bowie. Keanu's love of cinema appeared in particular thanks to his stepfather. Paul Aaron took him to rehearsals, thanks to which the boy got acquainted with real filmmaking. Keanu was even an assistant on one of the productions that Paul was directing. I was bringing soda to Lillian Gish when Star Wars was coming out. She's like cinema these days. It was a great honor for me. I was going to theaters and rehearsals with my stepfather when I was a kid, so I guess it's probably my tradition. Unfortunately, the marriage broke up due to Paul's infidelity less than 2 years later. Despite the breakup, the man continued to communicate with Keanu and Kim, to whom he really attached. In the future, he would still play a role in the formation of Keanu's career. A different period began in Patricia's life. A single mother worked from morning to night, trying to provide her children with everything they needed. The situation was complicated by the news about Keanu's and Kim's dyslexia, which affected their school performance. Because of the ridicule and biased attitude towards Reeves, Keanu quickly became withdrawn and insecure. But as he grew up, he was able to cope with his complexes. Despite dyslexia, Keanu Reeves has been playing chess at a decent level since childhood. He even challenged adult players, charging the opponent $1 for each game. After a while, Keanu's mother remarried. Patricia's chosen one was a rock music promoter, Robert Miller. In 1976, a daughter, Karina, was born in the family. Keanu didn't really like studying. The future actor changed several schools, including the prestigious School of Performing Arts. He was flunking out of the last one for bad behavior and conflicts with teachers. In acting classes, the teachers were not particularly pleased with him. Because of them, Reeves doubted his abilities. Keanu admitted that he skipped and hated school for the sake of going to the cinema. I remember there's a beautiful, wonderful cinema in Toronto called the Bloor Street Cinema. And I remember summer nights, just like riding my bike and just going, locking my bike up and going into a movie. I didn't even know what it was, but I would just go and they had salty good popcorn and I'd just chill out. He got the opportunity to attend an international film festival while living in Toronto. Could he think that after many years, he would come there not as a spectator, but as an actor to present the films in which he starred? Reeves took part in his first production of Damn Yankees when he was 9 years old. Critics gave the musical a negative review. Not only adult actors who performed the main roles got unflattering reviews, but even little Keanu. Thereby, it greatly undermined his confidence. Soon, the guy got another hobby. It was hockey. He excelled at the game and felt confident on the ice. Teammates even nicknamed him the Wall for the fact that Keanu was a first-class goalkeeper. But at the age of 14, he was seriously injured and doctors made a diagnosis which sounded like a sentence. They stated that Keanu could no longer play. He was flunking out of another school and decided not to return there anymore. Keanu never received his certificate of maturity. Keanu moved out from his parents and started working part-time in 3 places at once, sharpening skates on the local hockey field, cutting bushes in parks, and cooking in an Italian restaurant. And that's when Paul Aaron stepped in. It was he who helped Keanu start his career in cinema, inviting him to auditions and encouraging his passion for acting. In 1983, Keanu got the main role in the musical Wolf Boy. It told about 2 teenage boys who ended up in a psychiatric hospital and fell in love. Participation in the production gave Keanu the first popularity among the locals. The people on the streets who recognized him were not always tolerant, so he often heard insults. After that, he was offered to become a correspondent for the Canadian youth TV program Going Great.
I'm sorry, Miss Vicky.
She'll forgive.
In 1984, Keanu Reeves first appeared on television, starring in a Coca-Cola commercial.
Who's your coach? My dad.
Now, he is a great actor who is loved by millions, but the guy was happy with any small role back then. And while young Keanu and I are waiting for new offers from studios, write in the comments which films with this actor you like the most. I really want to know your opinion. With the help of Paul Aaron, Keanu got the role of Mercutio in the musical Romeo and Juliet. Critics noted his performance and that encouraged the guy. He understood that he was on the right track. After that, Keanu got small roles in the TV series Hangin' In, Heat in the Night, and Comedy Factory. Before that, he got another commercial. That time, it was Kellogg's Corn Flakes. His acting career started to gain momentum. Soon, the aspiring actor managed to get his first role in a feature film. Keanu played a hockey goalkeeper in Peter Markle's sports drama Youngblood. And although the main star of the film was Patrick Swayze, it was a good opportunity for Keanu to prove himself. In addition, his old sports skills came in handy here. After that, Reeves decided to leave his hometown and go towards his dream. With the help of his former stepfather, he received a green card and moved to Los Angeles. There, Paul persuaded a familiar agent, Erwin Stoff, to take Keanu under his wing. He considered the name of the ward too exotic, so he tried for a long time to convince Keanu to come up with some kind of nickname. The actor began to offer various crazy options, for example, Chuck Spadina, and as a result, the manager abandoned the idea.
And then I tell them that, and they're like, no. And I'm like, what's wrong with Chuck Spadina? Isn't that kind of the direction you want?
Dude, your name is almost Chuck Spadina. It's my favorite thing.
No, but then they didn't like that, so then I went.
The job was found pretty quickly. In 1986, as many as 8 projects were released with the participation of Keanu. However, we can't call all of them successful. Keanu played a young version of the hero in the Disney Studio television movie Young Again. According to the plot, a businessman wanted to become a teenager again, and his wish came true. The short film One Step Away could not be called successful. However, it gave the actor the opportunity to play the main role for the first time. In the same year, Reeves was offered to play Private Chris in Oliver Stone's film about the Vietnam War, Platoon. However, Keanu, being a devoted pacifist, refused the role. As a result, Charlie Sheen got the main role, and the film won an Oscar in several nominations. Did Keanu regret the refusal? Who knows? He continued to actively star in television films such as Act of Vengeance and The Brotherhood of Justice, as well as in the low-budget romantic drama Flying. Let's be fair, critics were not always delighted with the game of a novice actor. But Reeves was not discouraged and continued to move towards the dream. Together with Drew Barrymore, he played in the musical Babes in Toyland. Reeves got good reviews when he appeared in the teen drama River's Edge. The guy played a schoolboy named Matt, who had a dilemma: to tell the authorities about the murder of his classmate by his friend, or to keep the crime a secret in the name of friendship. The film, Under the Influence, also received quite positive reviews. After getting a couple of cameo roles in the TV series The Tracy Ullman Show and Trying Times, Reeves appeared in the film Dangerous Liaisons. It was a chance for Keanu to show a new side of himself. The cast of the film was very good. John Malkovich, Michelle Pfeiffer, and the novice Uma Thurman took part in this project. But everyone thought that director Stephen Frears was taking a big risk by inviting to a serious role an actor who mostly played teenagers. The film Dangerous Liaisons won 3 Oscars in 1989, but Keanu unfortunately received a lot of criticism. Nevertheless, hard work bore fruit and the actor began to earn more. Now he could afford more expensive housing, but instead of spending money on amenities, he bought a motorcycle. Riding in the California hills became his passion. Keanu loved night trips when there were almost no cars on the highway and it was possible to accelerate to breakneck speed. Such adventures did not always end well. One day, he miraculously managed not to fall off a cliff. The actor spent a week in the hospital with broken ribs and a ruptured spleen. After the accident, Keanu needed to recover. That's why he lost several contracts. His sister Kim helped him get back in shape. She came to Los Angeles specifically to take care of her brother. As for the bike, despite the fact that due to his love of extreme sports, Keanu lost serious projects for almost a year. He returned to the hobby as soon as his wounds healed. And in the future, he would risk his life more than once for the sake of thrills. After returning to work, Keanu continued to play in teen films. In 1988, the comedies with his participation The Night Before and The Prince of Pennsylvania were released. The drama Permanent Record that followed them was criticized, but at the same time, many praised Keanu's acting. From time to time, Keanu played a teenager on the screen. The actor even began to worry that he would never get out of that role. Reeves was actively looking for a film that would help him change the direction of development. Still, the audience, who loved Keanu for his teenage roles, had another chance to see the actor in this role. In 1989, the cult film Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was released. The story was made up by Ed Solomon and Chris Matheson back in 1983 in a student improvisation class. Based on the staging, they wrote the script in just 4 days, meeting in local coffee shops. It's hard to imagine anyone other than Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter starring as Bill and Ted, but initially each actor auditioned for the opposite role. However, after seeing the audition recordings, Solomon and Matheson decided to swap the actors. Initially, Bill and Ted's Time Machine was supposed to be a Chevy van, but the producers were afraid of the similarity with the DeLorean from Back to the Future and replaced the machine with a phone booth. It's strange that those guys didn't remember about another time traveler with a phone booth. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure became a cult classic. The film performed decently at the box office, received animation, game, and comic book versions, and also a sequel. Unfortunately, not as successful as we would like it to be. And of course, Bill and Ted gave us an iconic meme. Bill! But more importantly, the film launched the career of Keanu Reeves, who even seriously was afraid that he would be remembered only for the role of Ted. That character really strongly influenced his image in the press and the reaction to his game at first. In 1989, the tragic comedy Parenthood was released. The actor played together with Diane Wiest and Steve Martin.
Chicken's burning.
Oh!
The film received rave reviews and several Oscar and Golden Globe nominations. Thanks to working with director Ron Howard, other filmmakers began to pay attention to Keanu. Life Underwater, released in the same year, could not show the same success. However, as well as the next project, the black comedy I Love You to Death did.
However, participation in the second film gave Keanu the opportunity to try himself in a non-standard role. For him as a guy with not very high moral principles and a craving for banned substances.
In addition, thanks to the film, he met River Phoenix, who became his close friend. They bonded over a shared dream of a bright acting future and a difficult childhood. River's parents were hippies and lived very poorly. The two guys spent a lot of time together and influenced each other in many ways.
River became interested in motorcycles, and Keanu was interested in light illegal substances, which at that time were commonplace for Los Angeles.
After a short break, Keanu Reeves got a role in the comedy Tune In Tomorrow, where he was on the same set with the famous Columbo, Peter Falk. Although the film was not particularly successful, Keanu, in any case, gradually was getting out of character as a schoolboy. In 1991, Gus Van Sant's independent film My Own Private Idaho was released, where Keanu played the role of the rebel Scott, who engaged in street prostitution as a protest. Gus Van Sant was inspired to create the film by Shakespeare's plays Henry IV and Henry V, as well as John Recky's novel The City of Night. The director had problems with financing due to the controversial and unusual theme of the film. He dreamed that Reeves and River Phoenix would play the main roles, but he hardly believed the actors' agents would be interested in a project that did not promise them high fees. And if Reeves got the script, then River's agent didn't even tell him about the offer. Keanu agreed unexpectedly for Van Sant. He was impressed by the story and believed that Phoenix simply had to agree to star with him. At that moment, River was spending time with his family in Florida. Without even thinking, Reeves, who was in Toronto at the time, hopped on a bike and drove thousands of miles to deliver a script to his friend. River liked the script and he agreed. Some actors and crew members settled in Van Sant's house during the preparation for the film. They were all young, cheerful, open, and creative people. Therefore, very soon, that place turned into an almost continuous house party with jam sessions every night. The music, of course, was accompanied by alcohol, as well as something heavier and more dangerous. The director did not prevent that at first. The team was shooting an independent movie, and such an atmosphere probably was getting everyone in the right mood. But at the same point, everything got out of control, and Van Sant had to move out of his own house for a while to get some sleep at least and edit the script. When the director returned, everything was ready for filming. The original script had only 70 pages, which corresponded to about a 70-minute film. Van Sant wanted the actors to complement the story with improvisation and give them full creative freedom. The director gave copies of John Recky's novel City of Night to River Phoenix and Keanu Reeves to help them get into the thinking of street dealers. Being a bookworm, Reeves read not only that novel but also 5 other of Recky's books. As for Phoenix, he stopped reading after the first paragraph. They were different, but that was the strength of their duet. The actors really got into this project. River Phoenix even wrote his own version of the famous campfire scene, and the director agreed to shoot it. The key words that express the idea of the difference between love and sex uttered in this scene were invented by River.
What's your most lasting memory from making this movie? River Phoenix.
My Own Private Idaho received critical acclaim and was nominated for several prestigious film awards. Keanu was recognized in the world of big cinema acting in that film, although he continued to be associated more with Ted than with Scott. The next film introduced Keanu to the world of stunts, fights, and weapons. It was an action crime film, Point Break, where Reeves was back in the company of Patrick Swayze. The actor played an FBI agent who infiltrates a gang of surf robbers. It was originally planned that Patrick Swayze would play the role of Johnny Utah, but after reading the script, Patrick convinced the producers his character was Bodhi, and the role went to Keanu. Neither Patrick Swayze, nor Keanu Reeves, nor Lori Petty had ever surfed before filming. Moreover, Lori Petty had never even seen the ocean. 2 months before the start of work on the film, all three went to Hawaii, where they took a course in surfing. Reeves liked this kind of outdoor activity so much that it later became his hobby. In addition, to prepare for the role, Keanu Reeves watched the work of real FBI agents in Los Angeles and trained with a real football team. Interestingly, the Mythbusters later checked the authenticity of some of the events of the film. They expressed doubts about the realism of the scenes with the character of Keanu jumping without a parachute and catching Swayze. It turned out that it was possible from a physics aspect, but in that case, the guys would have been in the air for no more than 90 seconds. In the movie, they still had time to talk and even argue. Point Break was criticized immediately after its release, but had a good box office. The film really became popular a little later, and the role of Johnny Utah made Keanu a real young star. In 1992, he was recognized as the most attractive man by the MTV Movie Awards. At some point, Keanu became interested in playing the bass guitar. The actor acquired his first musical instrument at the age of 23 and had one single music lesson. Further learning to play the guitar was individually, by daily fingering of the strings. In 1991, he met Robert Milhouse, and together they created the rock band Dogstar. Rumor has it they met at a grocery store. Their similar hobbies led to friendship and soon to joint creativity. Night after night, they experimented with music. Keanu played bass guitar and Rob was on keyboards and drums. In 1994, vocalist and guitarist Brett Domrose joined them, and just a couple of months later, they already went on tour in America. The band has existed for almost 10 years and has released 3 albums. But back to Keanu's acting career. Thanks to the popularity that came to him after the release of Point Break, he got the opportunity to work with one of the greatest directors of all time. The idea to make another adaptation of Dracula came to the mind of actress Winona Ryder, who proposed this project to Francis Ford Coppola. She thought that the director would refuse due to employment, but when he heard the word Dracula, his eyes lit up. It was one of his favorite stories. It was Winona's wishes that had a great influence on the choice of the cast of the film. Keanu Reeves was also on the list of candidates she approved. The actor at that time starred in several films in a row and was physically exhausted. He would even turn down the role, but he couldn't miss the opportunity to work with a great director. Unfortunately, Coppola did not have mutual feelings for him. At the casting, nothing foretold troubles. Keanu showed himself well, and Winona continued to insist on his candidacy. The director agreed, but later he regretted it more than once. Coppola gathered all the actors to prepare for the film and made them read out the original novel by Bram Stoker, instead of the usual script. It took 2 days, during which Keanu was unsure of himself, was confused, and read expressionless. probably fatigued due to the quality of Keanu's work, since many who worked with him remembered him as detached and emotionless. Later, Coppola said that he had incorrectly selected an actor for the role of Harker. He wanted the girls to fall in love with the character for his appearance, so he was looking for a young blockbuster hero. However, as a person, Coppola had no complaints about Keanu. Of all the young people I've met in the film industry, he's so endearing and sincere, and a good person, and a generous person, and I'm glad I came to know that. He's the nicest person you'll ever want to meet. The director carefully made sure that the film looked as authentic as possible. For the wedding scene of the Reeves and Ryder heroes, Coppola invited a real Romanian priest. For many years, there were talks about whether the actors were really married.
Winona says we are. Coppola says we are. So I guess we're married. Under the eyes of God.
Ryder regularly mentions this funny fact, jokingly saying that the couple has been married for almost 30 years. According to Reeves, he regularly receives messages from Ryder with the text, "Hello, husband." The film was released exactly on the 95th anniversary of the original book about Dracula. It became a box office hit and was repeatedly nominated for an Oscar, but received mixed reviews from critics. Keanu got the worst of it. Critics and viewers didn't like the actor's performance, and Reeves' attempt to do a London accent was called the worst accent in cinema. One particularly scathing review stated that Reeves had to visibly restrain himself from ending every sentence with the word "dude." Keanu said that the main reason for the failure was physical exhaustion. Filming completely sucked the energy out of the actor, so he took a short vacation, part of which he spent with his friend River Phoenix. In 1993, Keanu starred as Prince Siddhartha in Bernardo Bertolucci's film Little Buddha. Reeves got the role due to his exotic appearance and the success of his previous projects. Bernardo had seen My Own Private Idaho and he saw me. I didn't know anything about Buddhism. When I was a kid, my mother had Chinese artifacts, so to me, Buddha was this big fat smiling guy. Part of the filming took place in Kathmandu and Bhutan. Working on the film was a real extreme adventure for Keanu. The process of shooting a film about a spiritual search was not as pleasant as Keanu thought. The entire film crew suffered from constant food poisoning and, as a result, diarrhea.
For this reason, we see the actors so thin in one of the scenes.
The film was quite good, although it did not receive any major awards. Cinematography only was noted. But Keanu was hardly worried about critics at that time.
On October 31st, 1993, River Phoenix died of an overdose of illegal substances.
Keanu Reeves was grieving the death of a friend. It was always difficult for him to get along with people, and River was a family and a support for him. He felt lonely and crushed. All I can say is that I have never felt a thing like that before in my life. I was very sad, and something beyond sad. I don't know what it is, just that you sob for hours. Meanwhile, Kenneth Branagh's film Much Ado About Nothing was released. Reeves became part of an excellent cast, including Emma Thompson, Denzel Washington, Kate Beckinsale, and many others. It's interesting that the filming of that film was before the filming of Little Buddha, and actor Brian Blessed taught Keanu basic meditation. That helped him prepare for the role of Buddha. The film was warmly received by critics and ranked 11th in the list of the greatest Shakespearean films on Rotten Tomatoes. In turn, Keanu added the film to the collection of his acting failures. His performance did not impress critics, and he was nominated for the Golden Raspberry Award as the Worst Supporting Actor. But this did not affect the number of offers of new roles at all. Soon, Gus Van Sant invited the actor to star in his new film Even Cowgirls Get the Blues. Keanu didn't fully understand the concept, but agreed, probably in order to reminisce about the filming with River Phoenix. The film dedicated to the deceased actor unfortunately did not repeat the success of My Own Private Idaho. The movie failed at the box office and was negatively received by critics. A series of failures changed to great success. At first, Keanu refused to act in the film Speed. In his opinion, the script was too similar to the movie Die Hard. However, the studio hired Joss Whedon for the final version of the script. In the end, Keanu agreed. Keanu immediately found a common language with a colleague in the film. At that time, Bullock was a newcomer and Keanu felt some responsibility for his colleague. He supported her in everything and helped work on the role. Moreover, relatively recently in an interview with Ellen DeGeneres, Sandra admitted that she was in love with Keanu.
I think about how sweet Keanu Reeves was and how handsome he was. It was hard. It was really, it was hard for me to like really be serious. Like he would look at me and I'd be like,
After a while, Ellen showed that video to Keanu and he said that he liked Sandra too. Who knows if he said it to be polite, performed 90% of the stunts without the help of stuntmen. For filming, Jan de Bont made Keanu get a short haircut. When the 20th Century Fox Film Company knew about it, the production of the movie was almost postponed. The producers were simply terrified, fearing that audiences would not recognize Reeves. Unfortunately, the filming period of Speed was overshadowed for Keanu by grief for River Phoenix. It was then that the actor knew about the tragedy. To make filming easier for Reeves, de Bont changed the shooting schedule so that the actor could work on lighter scenes. Reeves was extremely quiet and spent all his free time alone in his trailer, with the highest fees. After the success of Speed, Fox Studio wanted to shoot a sequel, but Reeves flatly refused to participate in it. This act seemed to be utter madness. However, later, Reeves's decision turned out to be correct. The sequel of 1997 failed miserably at the box office, besides receiving the Golden Raspberry for the worst sequel. Meanwhile, Reeves starred in the Cyberpunk movie Johnny Mnemonic. Keanu was a fan of William Gibson, the author of the story of the same name. The script of this film was written on the basis of this story, so the actor gladly agreed to play the main role. The director of the project, Robert Longo, was actually a famous artist. Before Mnemonic, he shot only a couple of clips as a hobby. But one day, he had Gibson's story, and the artist suggested the author make a film based on his work. Gibson agreed and even volunteered to write a script for a future movie on his own. Initially, the film was conceived as a psychological drama for which the authors could not find funding for a long time. In the end, they were able to negotiate with Sony Pictures, but soon regretted it. The film was in development for a long time. During that time, Keanu Reeves was able to become a Hollywood star. Sony Pictures decided to turn a cozy art house black and white film into a summer blockbuster, seeing the success of Speed. Later, Robert Longo admitted that the final version turned out to be only 65% of what he wanted to do. Over the years, Johnny Mnemonic gained the status of a cult work, but when the film was released, it could not even recoup the production costs. In addition, Reeves's acting work wasn't appreciated by everyone. In 1996, he was even nominated for the Golden Raspberry for that role. But neither that nor the box office failure of the film had any effect on the actor's career. Keanu's next work was a melodrama, A Walk in the Clouds. Now it is loved by many viewers. Paradoxically, Reeves received another nomination for the Golden Raspberry Anti Award in the category Worst Actor for his role in that film. At the same time, he was nominated for the Most Desirable Man at the MTV Movie Awards. Critics were not thrilled with Chain Reaction, released a year later. The film earned only $10 million more than was spent on its production. It was a very disappointing result, given the conditions in which the film had to be shot. The actors and crew had a tough time due to the record cold winter on the Great Lakes and filming in bad weather. And guess what anti-award Keanu was nominated for such suffering again? In the same year, the crime comedy Feeling Minnesota was released. The newcomer Cameron Diaz was Reeves's partner. According to Keanu, he smoked so often on the set that he eventually became addicted to cigarettes in real life. The film, like its predecessors, was not successful. Reeves was much more lucky on the theater stage during that period. In 1995, he played Prince Hamlet at the Manitoba Theatre Centre in Winnipeg. The reviews for his acting were excellent. According to critics, Reeves was able to make the image of the prince fresh, lively, and even spontaneous. Nevertheless, it began to seem that Keanu Reeves did everything out of himself in the field of cinema, and it was not worth expecting new successful films from him. However, they hurriedly wrote him off. Working on the next project was not easy for Keanu, but the role he performed is considered one of the best in his career. Of course, we're talking about Kevin Lomax in the cult classic The Devil's Advocate. Initially, they were going to make a big, epic blockbuster out of the film with the devil lightning from the eyes, explosions, and so on. But all serious actors refused to participate in such a project, including Al Pacino. The script was rewrote several times, completely changing the concept. In the beginning, the candidates for the main role were Brad Pitt, John Cusack, and Edward Norton, but everyone refused in favor of other projects. Then the producers drew their attention to Keanu. Reeves was incredibly pleased to have the opportunity to work on such an interesting project, and when he found out that Al Pacino could be his partner, he agreed to a lower fee so that the producers could pay the price requested by the great actor. The new version of the script was really able to please Al Pacino, and after 5 refusals, he still told the producers the cherished yes. When Al Pacino found out that Keanu had donated part of his fee to him, he gave the same amount to charity. Malicious tongues said that Pacino did not like the level of Reeves' acting. Keanu said that Pacino from time to time seemed to test his limits. He played each take in a different way, as if he wanted to understand whether his partner would be able to improvise and give his character something new. But according to the director, the actors did not compete, but supported each other.
Those were some good days, and it's such a wonderful performance from Mr. Pacino. Who you carrying those bricks for, Kevin? God? Anyway.
Preparing for the role, the actor spent a lot of time with various lawyers in New York. He also read many articles and excerpts about famous lawsuits. The film, which is now considered a cult classic, at first did not receive rave reviews. Critics called it more interesting than brilliant, and the website Rotten Tomatoes gave the film an approval rating of 63%. And yet, The Devil's Advocate was awarded the Saturn Award in the category for Best Horror Film. After the release of the film, the media began to talk about a possible romance between Keanu and Charlize Theron. The actors often appeared together, but in fact, they were just good friends. Keanu Reeves' personal life was always a well-kept secret. For a long time, many considered him gay. They said that he had an affair with the famous media magnate David Geffen. The rumors were not confirmed. Although the actor was earning millions, he continued to live in hotels. He didn't see any point in buying his own house. Reeves spent most of his royalties on charity, as well as helping his sisters and mother. He saved a lot of money, except on motorcycles. Keanu still loves speed and risk, and of course, he got into accidents. Old injuries almost denied him the opportunity to participate in a new, very interesting, and physically challenging project. During the preparation, Keanu felt a pain in his neck. The test showed a displacement of cervical vertebrae, which could soon turn into serious health problems. He had to have an urgent operation, but fortunately, Reeves managed to convince the producers of the project to understand his situation and not fire him. A month after the spinal surgery, Reeves went to prepare for filming in a fateful film. In order to attract viewers to the film by almost unknown directors Larry and Andy Wachowski, at that time, the Warner Brothers studio was going to take some bright star to the role of the One. Brad Pitt, Ewan McGregor, Tom Cruise, Leonardo DiCaprio, and many others were considered, but they all refused for various reasons. For example, DiCaprio was afraid that too many special effects would kill his acting, and Nicolas Cage did not want to leave for filming in Australia. For a long time, the main candidate was Will Smith, but he refused the project because at that time he did not consider himself a mature enough actor for such a serious role. Although Will was delighted with the script and was sure that it would be a great project. That's the role Keanu was born to play. When I watch the movie and I see the choices he made, there are 100 occasions when I think I would have messed that up. Then the choice was between Johnny Depp and Keanu Reeves. The latter expressed the strongest interest in the film after reading the script and showed himself great at the auditions. Why did I choose The Matrix? First of all, because of the script, because of how the characters spoke and what they said. I liked both the dialogues and the idea as a whole. I was just amazed. Keanu was interested in science fiction and philosophy, and at the request of his brothers, read Kevin Kelly's book Out of Control, the work of scientist Dylan Evans on evolutionary psychology, and Baudrillard's collection of essays, Simulacra and Simulation before filming. The Wachowskis realized that at least in part of the script, they and Reeves were on the same page. And when the actor agreed to months of training, the studio, along with the Wachowskis, realized that they had finally found the one. The actors had to quickly learn how to fight, somersault, and almost run on walls, so those who played the main roles before starting work on the set trained daily for more than 5 months, honing their movements in martial arts. We thought it would take a few weeks. We were wrong. In order to bring the movements to automation and make them believable, you need to repeat them thousands of times. It was very difficult, but also very interesting. After prolonged persuasion, the famous Chinese director of action films, Yuan Wu-ping, commenced to teach the actors to fight. Under his guidance, the actors had to master not only kung fu, but also the so-called wire fu. It's some kind of kung fu, but the actors were suspended on special cables that facilitate the execution of intricate tricks. Each actor was assigned a personal Chinese coach, and Keanu's mentor did not even speak English. The result exceeded all expectations. No understudies, no stuntmen, no nefarious techniques like simplifying the script were needed. Actors fight as if they know how to do it for half their lives.
I know kung fu.
Show me.
In addition to the fact that the preparatory course itself was exhausting, it was even more difficult for Keanu than for the others, since the actor was just beginning to recover from an earlier injury. The film crew arrived in Sydney in March of 1998. Everyone was in high spirits, but suddenly a new problem appeared. Reeves was informed that his spine had not fused. The actor couldn't fight for a while, and the Wachowskis had to rearrange the shooting schedule in such a way that he could first shoot simpler scenes and leave the fights and other action for later. One of the most difficult scenes was the one in which Morpheus and Neo arranged a training duel. Lawrence Fishburne and Keanu Reeves rehearsed the whole fight for a month before the start of filming. And although the actors were already moving synchronously and knew where and how to improvise, it was still very difficult to shoot the fight.
Fake fights are fun.
Yuan Wu-ping greatly praised Keanu Reeves' desire to bring everything to perfection. The actor also wanted to do everything flawlessly when shooting the previous scenes, but here his perseverance reached its peak. Because of the injury, he badly rehearsed a triple kick and made mistakes in his movements, take after take, but he did not want to stop shooting. As a result, it took 21 takes to film this trick. When I watched this self-torture, I got goosebumps. It was very painful to follow this. On the set, everyone was amazed at how Reeves rushed into battle, forgetting about moral and physical fatigue. Even with a sore neck, he studied on weekends when the actors were supposed to rest. But the most difficult part was the scene of the duel between Neo and Agent Smith in the subway. All its participants remember it was the most difficult scene they have ever had to shoot in their lives. It was necessary not only to fight, but also to actively use the support cables that help to perform tricks. The choreography of the fights was honed as never before, but the situation was complicated by the fact that there were no stuntmen here. Keanu Reeves and Hugo Weaving did all the work themselves. It took a huge number of takes before it turned out exactly what was needed, and as a result, the entire episode was filmed 10 days longer than planned. By the end of the work, everyone was completely exhausted. The sacrifices for the role did not end there. The last episode of Neo's release from The Matrix was filmed. It's the episode in which he wakes up for the first time in a capsule filled with a transparent liquid. For this episode, the actor completely shaved off his hair and eyebrows and could safely grow them after filming without delaying the workflow. Despite the difficult shooting, the working on the film is remembered fondly by the actors. This is the best film I've ever been involved in my entire career. The atmosphere on the set was just amazing. We were a nice company of best friends who enjoyed every second spent together on the set. Every common good fortune, big and small, who believed from the very beginning that this would be a wonderful film. The Matrix was released on March 31st, 1999 in the USA. Neither the producers nor the actors nor other members of the crew had any idea that the film could turn out so good. Even Reeves, who had been filming for a long time and knew what fame was, had no idea that it was possible to be so imbued with the film and its characters. He was surprised that people go to the Matrix 3 or 10 times while his email box was overflowing with letters. And then they tell you that people start dressing up like the characters in the movie. Honestly, I didn't expect this. While the whole world was praising Keanu Reeves for his great performance in The Matrix, the actor himself was going through a difficult stage in his life. Back in the early 90s, his sister Kim was diagnosed with leukemia. Since then, Keanu had helped her in the fight against a terrible disease. For some time, he even left his acting career to spend more time with his sister. She always took care of me, and I will always be there for her. Brother and sister had been very close since childhood, and of course, Keanu treasured Kim endlessly. The actor was looking for a new, non-traditional method of treatment. Along the way, he founded his own cancer fund and spent a total of 75% of the earnings from the Matrix trilogy on fighting leukemia and researching the disease. Keanu is a very modest man, so he didn't want anybody to know about it. Once, in 1998, during a break between work and trips to his sister, Keanu met aspiring actress Jennifer Syme at one of the Hollywood parties. As the actor later admitted, it was love at first sight. Jennifer was not one of those girls who immediately rushed into the arms of the first guy they met. Unlike many representatives of the Hollywood party, she behaved with dignity and was dressed more than decently, without deep necklines and transparent fabrics. The natural modesty of the girl instantly captivated Keanu. He began to court Jennifer, and she reciprocated. The relationship between Syme and Reeves developed rapidly. Soon, the lovers began to live together. At the same time, Keanu was filming the sports drama The Replacements, which was based on the 1987 NFL strike. In order for Gene Hackman to play one of the main roles, Keanu reduced his fee by a little more than 10%, as he already did for Al Pacino. It wasn't the first time Reeves played a football player. His character in Point Break was also once a quarterback. To look more convincing in the role of an athlete, the actor gained 23 pounds. As a result, during the filming, he was even offered to take part in the game with the Baltimore Ravens. Meanwhile, a year after they met, Jennifer Syme announced to her lover that she was pregnant. The happiness of the actor knew no bounds. Keanu spoiled the bride, bought armfuls of branded gifts for her, gave her a car and a house. He equipped the nursery and bought all the necessary things for his daughter, whom they decided to name Ava. The baby was supposed to be born in January of 2000. It was December 1999. Keanu was in London at that time. Jennifer called Reeves and sobbed so much that the actor could hardly make out anything. He only realized that something had happened to their daughter and urgently flew to Los Angeles. It turned out that the baby died in the womb. This news was a real tragedy for the couple. Jennifer was depressed and had to undergo treatment. To avoid any remindings of his beloved about what had happened, Keanu gave out children's things to those in need. After a while, the couple decided to break up and live through the pain of loss separately. Every struggle in your life eventually turned you into the person you are today. Be grateful for the hard times, they only make you stronger. Keanu took refuge only in the work in which he fully plunged into. The actor starred in several films at once, wandered from continent to continent, and got tired to death. Heavy physical activity made it possible not to think and not to remember everything that had happened. He gave 200% on the set. During this period, the thriller The Gift was released. It was directed by Sam Raimi and was written by Billy Bob Thornton, based on his mother's psychic abilities. Keanu Reeves and his on-screen wife Hilary Swank visited local domestic violence counselors to understand why men abuse their wives and why wives stay with their husbands. Another film in which Reeves played a negative role was the thriller The Watcher. In general, Keanu didn't like the script, and he starred in it only because a friend forged his signature on the contract. In order not to get involved in lengthy litigation, he was forced to agree to participate. The situation was aggravated by the fact that the role of Reeves from the episodic at some point morphed into the main one, although he was still paid the same amount of money. As a result, the film received terrible reviews, and Keanu himself received another Golden Raspberry nomination. However, there wasn't any anti-award that could make him give up on his acting career, because the work was his salvation from heavy thoughts about his daughter. Riding a motorcycle at extreme speed had the same analgesic effect when he raced, overtaking the wind and didn't think about the bad things. On the eve of filming the second and third parts, Reeves had a motorcycle accident. For several days, doctors didn't leave the actor and were seriously fearing for his life. Nevertheless, the movie was filmed. From March 2001 to August 2002, Keanu worked on the sequels to The Matrix, which were filmed at the same time.
Jennifer, meanwhile, got a job in a recording studio and began to consume alcohol and illegal substances in large quantities.
The girl said that it was easier for her to live through this loss, and the medicines for depression which the doctors prescribed to her didn't help. This played a cruel joke on her. On April 1st, 2001, after a party hosted by Marilyn Manson, Jennifer Syme got behind the wheel drunk and wasn't wearing a seatbelt. This ride became her last one. The death of a loved one dealt a crushing blow to Keanu. He finally withdrew into himself, for a long time didn't give any comments on this matter, and didn't want to be pitied. Reeves buried his beloved next to his daughter, and for a long 18 years, he didn't dare to start a serious relationship. Grief changes shape, but it never ends. People have a misconception that you can deal with it and say, "It's gone and I'm better." They're wrong. When the people you love are gone, you're alone. After the accident, the actor shot a social video about the importance of wearing a seatbelt. The actor was sure that if not for this, Jennifer would have remained alive. No matter what, he remained as polite and generous as ever. On the set of The Matrix, Keanu shook hands every morning with all members of the film crew without exception. After the end of filming, he presented all the stuntmen who performed difficult tricks for him with a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. Thanks to the incredible success of the first part, the directors were able to afford a budget of $150 million for the second and third parts, which was twice the budget of the last film. However, the producers still had doubts about whether the sequels would be able to recoup the cost of the special effects. Therefore, Keanu decided to forego his share of ticket sales, which was approximately $38 million. For visuals, the Wachowski brothers drew inspiration from A Space Odyssey, Alien, Vertigo, Apocalypse Now, Koyaanisqatsi, and 20,000 Leagues Under the Seas. The first Matrix established the bar for action films and brought several iconic visuals to cinema. And of course, the Wachowskis weren't going to stop there. For example, the chase scene was planned for a whole year and filmed for 7 weeks. All that was for the final result of 14 minutes. For this scene, the studio hired a group of stuntmen who could beautifully turn the car and not get hurt. Reeves recalled they were completely different from the rest of his stunt doubles. They looked more like harsh cowboys from the 50s. In total, about 200 people participated in the filming of this scene, which created the illusion of active movement on the highway. The special effects team turned the giant 23,000 square foot hangar into a motion capture stage for Neo's battle scene with the 100 Smiths. The actors again had to train for 4 months, and after that, Reeves rehearsed the movements for another 3 weeks along with 12 stuntmen. In the end, this scene was filmed for 27 days. When the part of the difficult filming was over, another long marathon of 270 days was ahead of the team, and they were getting ready for work. But in the second half of 2001, the film crew had a bad patch. On August 25th, singer Aaliyah, who played the role of Z, died in a plane crash. They were looking for a replacement for 9 months after the tragedy. Also, Gloria Foster, who was supposed to play the role of the Oracle, died of diabetes. They say that in order to get rid of the negative influence of the film, Keanu, who professes Buddhism, even turned to the help of a monk who performed the corresponding ceremony right on the set. Did it help the film? It's hard to say. The expectations of critics and fans were very high. Everyone involved in the work on the new films stated in interviews that the new movies were just as wonderful as the first one. On one thing, the creators were right. The special effects in Reloaded were really first class. However, the second Matrix disappointed fans. No, we can't call it a failure, but if you compare it with the first Matrix, you will see that the focus has shifted from revealing ideas and characters to entertainment and revealing the world. Though criticism didn't prevent Reloaded from becoming the most successful part of the trilogy at the box office and gathering $742 million. The film was listed in the Guinness Book of Records as the most replicated film. Despite this, viewers believed that Revolutions would return to its philosophical roots and force viewers to sit with their eyes wide open. Unfortunately, the third part was a disappointing conclusion to the trilogy in which the characters and ideas were overshadowed by special effects. There was almost nothing left of the first film. It was just a few main characters and the storyline about liberation from machines. The philosophical foundation laid by the first film disappeared somewhere, and it was replaced by a sad but ordinary story of saving the world. Although in the end, Revolutions lost on all accounts to the first two parts, the film crew put no less effort into it. The Wachowskis again meticulously followed all the little things. The team worked day and night on special effects. The Matrix Revolutions earned $427 million at the box office, $300 million less than the second part. Nevertheless, the film received 5 nominations for the Saturn Award. However, the difficult filming of The Matrix wasn't enough for Keanu. After that, he went on a small tour with his band Dogstar in support of the new album. Together with his bandmates, Keanu also starred in the art house tragicomedy Ellie Parker. Moreover, Keanu didn't take a cent for the work. The Matrix earned millions of dollars at the box office, and Keanu Reeves still mourned his beloved woman and unborn child. After the tragedies that happened, he developed a serious depression. According to some rumors, the actor began to abuse alcohol, and only his sister Kim was able to influence her brother to quit the addiction. The actor, whose fortune at that time exceeded $350 million, lived in hotel rooms. He didn't just see the point in acquiring his own home. Keanu didn't give interviews and spent most of his time alone. Only by the age of 40, Keanu bought himself a rather modest, by Hollywood standards, house. I've never been obsessed with money. That's not what I became an actor for, and I never liked fame. Although it's not bad not to worry about bills, it's a cliche that money can't buy happiness. They can buy the freedom to live the life you want. Keanu Reeves. Tragedies that could destroy the life of anyone didn't stop Reeves. He continued to go ahead and act in films. In 2001, 2 films with participation of the actor were released. The first one was the melodrama Sweet November, in which Charlize Theron was again Keanu's partner. The second one was the sports drama Hardball, in which the actor played the coach of the baseball team. Both movies were negatively received by critics, and Keanu again received nominations for the Golden Raspberry. Meanwhile, Kim's struggle with the disease continued. Keanu, from time to time, had to postpone filming in order to be close to his sister. Because of this, rumors about his drug addiction spread in Hollywood. Reeves later said that even in the most difficult moments of his own depression, he came to the ward to his sister and supported her. Together, brother and sister won this battle. Kim finally went into remission. Something better than this news was hard to imagine. Reeves spent another $5 million to rehabilitate his sister. The next film with Keanu was released only in 2003, and fortunately received good reviews. Something's Gotta Give can be safely called one of the best rom-coms. Despite the fact that more serious roles were expected from Keanu, at least he didn't receive another Anti Award. In the same year, Dogstar disbanded. But Keanu didn't quit music, and together with former Dogstar member Rob Mailhouse, almost immediately assembled a new band called Becky. After that, Keanu began filming in the fantastic thriller Constantine. The film was based on the comics about Detective John Constantine, distributed by DC Comics. Production began back in 1997, but as it often happens, the work dragged on. The director's chair changed owners several times, and Nicolas Cage, who claimed the role of Constantine, turned down the role. Only in 2002, Keanu Reeves took his place. The original author, Alan Moore, was extremely dissatisfied with the script and the choice of the actor for the lead role. He copied the image of John Constantine from the singer Sting, and Keanu, of course, didn't look much like him. Frustrated and offended, the writer demanded that the filmmakers didn't mention his name in the credits. It's interesting that the film was originally intended to be called Hellblazer, but then changed its mind as they wanted to avoid comparison with the films of Clive Barker's Hellraiser. Constantine was filled with symbolism and references. For example, for the entire film, John smoked exactly 13 cigarettes, which itself is quite symbolic. Number 3 is frequently appearing on the license plate of the taxi, which is driven by Constantine's assistant. In biblical numerology, the number symbolizes the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
This is Constantine. John Constantine.
In the film, Keanu Reeves' double was again Chad Stahelski, who was already the second Neo in The Matrix. In the future, they worked together again, and that time Chad tried on the role of director. After filming was completed, Keanu Reeves bought Constantine's sacred weapon and presented it to director Francis Lawrence. Like the author of the comic book, many devoted fans of Constantine turned out to be categorically against Keanu's candidacy. However, despite the mixed reviews, the film eventually got loved by the audience. Now, many believe that John Constantine is one of Reeves' best roles. And what do you think? What are your favorite Keanu roles? Be sure to share your opinion in the comments. During filming, Francis Lawrence and Keanu became so attached to the character that they even discussed what the plot of the sequel could be.
Here is one of the options. After the events of the first part, John does wrong things in Morocco, practices magic, and uses forbidden magical herbs.
Another version was to arrange the apocalypse, which Constantine should have prevented. Unfortunately, the dreams remained unfulfilled, and the character migrated to the series with a new actor in the title role. Even for a long time, Keanu continued to receive questions about a possible sequel and always replied that he would not mind participating, provided that the old team of the first film would be engaged in filming. And so, after so many years, the fans finally waited. In 2022, Warner Bros. Announced they would release a sequel to Constantine after all. Keanu will return to the role of John, and Francis Lawrence will be the director again. Let's hope the sequel will be of high quality.
I'd love to have the chance to play Constantine again.
On January 31, 2005, Keanu Reeves received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. In the same year, the independent comedy drama film Thumbsucker was released in limited edition. Here, Keanu played one of the central roles. The next film, the melodrama Lake House, reunited Keanu with Sandra Bullock. The actress said that she named her on-screen dog Jack after Reeves' character in Speed, the movie they starred in for the first time.
Why do you like that?
I don't know.
No, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's beautiful and I kind of...
it's terrible.
It's terrible.
Interestingly, the house around which the plot revolved was actually built specifically for the film and then dismantled. But it's not worth regretting that such beauty was demolished. There were no toilets in the house, which would definitely create certain inconveniences for the residents. Critics gave the lake house quite different reviews and called the film too sugary and confusing. In 2006, Richard Linklater's sci-fi thriller A Scanner Darkly was released. It was based on the novel of the same name by Philip K. Dick. We have already said that Keanu is interested in the works of this writer, so the actor could not pass on such a project. Linklater had no interest in turning the book into a big-budget action movie. He wanted to keep the budget under $10 million so he could have more creative control, stay true to the book, and make it into an animated film. For production, a technique called rotoscoping was used. Animators drew each frame over the real one and also added some elements that weren't in real shooting. Hallucinations of the main characters, futuristic costumes, as well as a special perception of reality by the main character. It was not easy to work with such a technique. For comparison, only 23 days were spent on the shooting itself, and 18 months were spent on animation. As it often happens to auteur films, A Scanner Darkly didn't do well at the box office, but critics finally became generous with compliments to Keanu. After A Scanner Darkly, the actor disappeared from the cinema screens for 2 years. But he didn't sit idle. One day, Keanu decided that he would like to have a motorcycle that no one else had. In 2007, he asked renowned California luthier Gard Hollinger to customize his Harley-Davidson. And it turned out that they had one dream for two: to rethink the American Cruiser, a motorcycle for long-distance travel. For me, it's all about physical sensations, vibration, wind, noise. In addition, this is a great opportunity to be alone with yourself. If I don't race for a long time, I start to break down. After 5 years of design and testing, only the engine remained from the original motorcycle. Reeves liked the finished product so much that he persuaded Hollinger to start the ARC Motorcycle Company in 2011. In 2008, Keanu briefly returned to science fiction, starring in Scott Dickerson's The Day the Earth Stood Still. The picture was a remake of the classic 1951 tape, as well as the second film based on the story Farewell to the Master. Unfortunately, despite a good box office, the film received negative reviews and was nominated for a Golden Raspberry. Sometimes I call that the day my career stood still. I kind of went to studio movie jail. The next 6 years in his acting career were difficult times. Acting either in amateur or simply in unfortunate movies, Keanu began to turn from a cult artist into that actor from The Matrix. Street Kings, Henry's Crime, The Private Lives of Pippa Lee, and Generation received mixed or even negative reviews. Failures don't knock me out of the saddle. They make me look stubbornly ahead, clench my teeth through tears and despondency. Do. Such a cruel way. 2010 was the year of Sad Keanu. It was then that the famous meme appeared with the actor sitting on a bench alone. Reeves himself considers this picture quite funny, but it caused a lot of sympathy from most of the users. At some point, the story with the meme reached its climax. Reddit users announced June 15th, the day the photo appeared, unofficial day to cheer up Keanu Reeves.
So you're not actually sad and Sad Keanu?
I was thinking. I had some stuff going on.
Sure.
I was hungry.
Keanu was still alone. From time to time, he was seen in companies of different women, but all the actor's attempts to start a relationship quickly failed. Many fans dreamed of saving Sad Keanu from depression. Never in my life did I take advantage of the weakness of the fans. Maybe it's silly not to agree. There are moments when I regret that I didn't walk properly, but I don't know how to take pleasure in actions that seem wrong to me. Keanu redoubled his cautions toward fans after a certain Karen Sala tried to collect alimony from him for 4 adult children in 2010. According to the woman, the actor used hypnosis to make her think that she was making love not with him, but with her husband. Keanu reacted to the statement quite calmly, agreeing to take a DNA test, which, of course, turned out to be negative. A couple of months after the appearance of Sad Keanu, the actor went to one of the New York cafes and bought coffee with a cupcake, in which he asked to insert a candle. All the tables were occupied, so he sat right next to the entrance. When fans approached him to take pictures, Keanu offered everyone a bite of the cupcake. It was his birthday. Perhaps the actor had no one to celebrate it with, or he simply was not in the mood, but he spent the whole day alone on the parapet with a paper cup and a cupcake. However, gradually, the actor began to emerge from an all-consuming depression. In 2011, Keanu surprised fans by releasing his own book of poems, Ode to Happiness. This was a collection of humorous haiku illustrated by artist Alexandra Grant. The actor met her a couple of years before. They got along well, and once in common company, Keanu quoted a verse that he once wrote for fun. Alexandra was so impressed that she begged the actor for drafts of a few more poems. Soon, she brought him an album with illustrations for his texts. The book was my surprise for Keanu, intended as a personal gift. All our friends in the room giggled when I gave him a copy. They said, "Please post this." So we got into the publishing business. Alexandra Grant. Some saw in the work of the Hollywood actor an imitation of Japanese poetry. Others, the psychedelics of the 80s and a cry from the heart of even doom, while the rest, on the contrary, saw the actor's undisguised banter over all the journalistic cliches that they hung around him in recent years. In the epigraph of his Ode to Happiness, Keanu was not particularly wiser. and said this picture book is for adults who prefer to learn to see colors over dullness. Half sentences, half utterances searching in the past, grappling, groping, never last. In my body, in my heart, and in my mind, but not on my tongue. And so my song remains unsung. At the presentation, the actor was in an unusually cheerful mood, joked and entertained the audience, complimented the beaming Alexandra, and even read his poems, which he wasn't going to do at all. In 2013, Keanu starred in a dramatic action movie based on the Japanese historical legend of the 47 Ronin. This is one of the most famous folktales of Japan, which has now become popular all over the world. Keanu Reeves played Kai, the son of an English sailor and a Japanese woman. This character was not in the original legend. He was invented by the writers specifically for the film. Japanese children grow up with this story. It's told at home and at school. It's part of their culture. It has been adapted into films and television more than once. It's like our westerns, a story that keeps being told. We've redone it in a way, but with more care and respect. According to Keanu Reeves, especially for the sake of the supporting actors, the filming was first held in Japanese and only then in English. For filming, Keanu had to master the basics of traditional Japanese two-handed sword fighting, which he had never held in his hands before. 47 Ronin was originally supposed to be released in November of 2012. Production troubles, which included reshoots and editing under Universal's supervision, repeatedly delayed the film's release. Probably this fact played a cruel joke with the film. The film didn't get a lot of money at the box office and couldn't even recoup its production costs. In the same year, Keanu made his directorial debut with the action movie Man of Tai Chi. Reeves was assisted in the work by Yuan Wu-ping, fight director in the Matrix franchise. The movie failed at the box office, but more importantly, critics praised Reeves' direction and action sequences. The film also received a compliment from director John Woo, who is famous for his spectacular action films. At that time, Reeves' projects had not become hits at the box office for several years, and it began to seem to some that his star was gradually fading. But a year later, those who held this opinion regretted it. It's no secret that Keanu Reeves is a Buddhist and a pacifist. That is why, at one time, he refused to participate in the Oscar-winning film Platoon and a number of other films with excessive cruelty. And yet, he agreed to participate in the action movie where the main character killed about 100 people throughout the film. But he had his reasons.
Sure as hell f***ed up his dog.
You f***ed up his dog, that's what you did. You f***ed up his dog. That's crazy shit, man.
Initially, the producers wanted to take some actor of a more respectable age for the main role in the film John Wick. However, then-producer Basil Iwinick offered to rejuvenate John Wick and take on the main role with somebody whose original coolness would not be questioned. And Keanu was someone he always wanted to work with. For the past 5 years, the actor devoted most of his time to the Man of Tai Chi. But having learned about the project, he immediately agreed. And this time, he participated in direct work with the authors in order to improve the story. I liked my role, but at the same time, I wanted more. I wanted to influence the entire creative process, the situation as a whole, so that our story could come to life on the screen. David Leitch was called to work with the production of the fight scenes, as well as Chad Stahelski, whom we already mentioned as Keanu's stuntman. As a result, they became the directors of the project, taking the initiative and presenting a great concept to the producers. Despite his Matrix past, Keanu needed to brush up on his martial arts and weapon handling skills, so for 4 months, he trained every day for 8 hours. As a result, the actor performed 90% of the stunts himself. It's pretty exciting that Reeves learned the entire action sequence for the nightclub fight scene on the same day that the scene was filmed. He's one of the hardest working guys we've ever had to deal with. He is a jack of all trades, knows how to turn on the camera and start shooting, knows how to edit, write scripts, invents roles, directs, and of course, plays great. He's always the first to arrive on set and the last to leave. Chad Stahelski. By the way, it was the 5th movie where Keanu Reeves played a character called John. Can you name all the previous ones in the comments? Let's see how well you know Keanu's filmography.
I've played a lot of Johns.
John Wick was a real hit. The movie was Keanu Reeves' first big box office success since 2008's The Day the Earth Stood Still. With a budget of $20 million, it grossed $41 million in the US and $23 million in the rest of the world. And Keanu was again nominated for the Golden Raspberry Anti Award. But don't worry, this time in the positive category of Award for Restoring Reputation. Recently, I'm maybe a little closer to being able to break into that world again. I don't know. After the release, Keanu Reeves' popularity skyrocketed again. The actor had to fight off numerous similar roles of men who had nothing to lose. In the same year, the film Knock Knock was released. It was the remake of Death Game, filmed in 1977. Keanu's performance in the thriller was praised by critics, but he didn't save the film from rather mixed reviews. Just a year later, with Ana de Armas, one of the main characters of Knock Knock, Keanu appeared in another film, Exposed.
The original story was a surreal drama which focused on the infliction of mental and physical harm, police lawlessness, as well as mental disorders.
However, the management of Lionsgate Premiere thought that they had sold a police thriller with Keanu Reeves. To increase the film's box office potential, during the editing process, Lionsgate changed the focus of the story to focus on Reeves' character and turn the film into a crime thriller. These attempts to earn more played a cruel joke with the producers and led to a very cold reception. But the participation of Keanu in the film gave the audience the opportunity to once again be convinced of his delightfulness. Despite his superstar status, he continued to act like an ordinary person. On the occasion of the completion of the filming of Exposed, a party was held in a nightclub. The guard standing at the entrance didn't recognize Keanu, who decided to attend the event. He was too simply dressed. In addition, Reeves himself also didn't consider it necessary to introduce himself. He humbly lined up with the other guests, even though it was raining heavily outside.
What is your secret for always staying down to earth? Well, I mean, gravity.
In 2006, Keanu's collection of unsuccessful thrillers was replenished with the film Whole Truth. Daniel Craig was originally going to play the lead role, but just a few days before the start of filming, he dropped out of the project for unknown reasons and was replaced by Reeves. Well, Craig was lucky because the film received very mixed reviews. In a new way, Keanu opened in the film by Nicholas Refn, The Neon Demon. The actor played a dubious guy, a depraved manager of a cheap motel in Pasadena. The director met Keanu 10 years ago, and since then, he hoped that he would be able to invite the actor to some of his projects. Very few actors have the status of a pop icon like him, and not all have the talent combined with integrity that he has. Nicholas Refn. Like Refn's previous film, Only God Forgives, The Neon Demon received a storm of applause during its premiere at the Cannes Film Festival. At the same time, there were long, active disputes around the film. Someone called it a masterpiece, and someone said that there was not enough depth behind the bright picture of the movie. In any case, the picture was not deprived of attention by any critic. The psychological thriller about the model world was followed by the dystopian thriller The Bad Batch. The film won the Special Jury Prize at the Cannes Film Festival. In the same year, Keanu released a new book, Shadows. The actor made Shadows the main theme of the book, their aesthetics and literary value. Alexandra Grant again helped him in the design. On the pages of the book, the authors combined Grant's illustrations with Reeves' poems, in which the actor reflected on the meaning of life. Is the shadow of a metaphor for the dark side of human nature, the unconscious, where our demons are forced out? Is it an allegory or a state of being between darkness and light, life and death? The collaboration between Alexandra and Keanu didn't end there. In the following year, they established a small publishing house in Los Angeles, X Artists Books. It specializes in producing thoughtful, high-quality, artist-focused books. The actor and artist spent a lot of time together, often went out to dinner, but it never occurred to any of the journalists to suspect them of a romantic relationship. For everyone, Alexandra was just a friend, one of the few whom Keanu led into his closed world, and next to whom he smiled more and more often. Meanwhile, John Wick came back to cinemas. The second part earned twice more than its predecessor and received positive reviews. Among other things, Keanu took a special course on shooting techniques from 2 pistols and in close combat from former special forces to prepare for filming. One of the highlights of the film was the reunion between Keanu Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne, who played together in The Matrix. The story of John Wick was originally conceived as a trilogy, but in 2019, after the premiere of the 3rd film, the creators announced that they were going to make 2 more films. How will this affect the franchise is not clear. We can only wait and hope that the continuation won't disappoint us.
Somebody please get this man a gun.
The next interesting work of the actor was the small role of a psychiatrist in a film about a girl with anorexia, To the Bone. After that, Keanu once again reunited with his movie wife Winona Ryder in the romantic comedy Destination Wedding. It was already their 4th film together, so it was comfortable and joyful for old friends to work on it. Kurt Dubost described the duet like this: "They have a lot of talent and work really hard, but they still have fun no matter what. They rehearsed dialogues, helped each other, made everyone laugh. Throughout the filming, the healing power of love and laughter was felt." Unfortunately, the healing power of love didn't do much for the film, and it received a rather lukewarm reception from critics. Keanu's next 2 films, Replicas and Siberia, can hardly be called outstanding either. Both of them received low ratings, and Replicas also failed at the box office. Keanu had long been used to bad reviews, so he just kept working. When the actor received an offer from Pixar to voice a character in Toy Story 4, he gladly accepted. It is difficult to imagine someone more suitable for the role of a brave Canadian stuntman on a motorcycle.
Duke Kaboom! Canada's greatest stuntman!
If you suddenly miss Keanu's stories of kindness, then here's another one for you. At the end of March of 2019, a plane flying from San Francisco to Los Angeles made an emergency landing in the city of Bakersfield. The passengers were confused and didn't know what to do next. Luckily, Keanu Reeves was among them. The actor quickly arranged a bus for his fellow travelers and ensured a pleasant ride to their destination. On the way, Reeves entertained the passengers by telling them interesting and remarkable facts about the place where they suddenly found themselves. That same year, Keanu made a cameo appearance in the romantic comedy Always Be My Maybe. In the film, he played a parody version of himself.
So where's your man? Oh, there he is.
After numerous gloomy roles, it was joyful to see our hero in a comedic way.
It's fun to play your heightened self.
In that year, a very important event for the actor took place. On November 4th, Keanu appeared on the red carpet of a charity event holding the hand of Alexandra Grant. On that day, they finally announced to the whole world that they were not just friends. According to their acquaintances, the couple had been dating for several years before and appeared together in public, but no one had paid attention to it before. Soon, news began to appear in the media that Reeves had already proposed to Alexandra, but the wedding was constantly postponed due to the coronavirus pandemic. However, Keanu himself has not confirmed this yet. In life, it's important that there is a person nearby who believes in you, believes in your strength, and you believe in him. It's important to be able to be real, and it's important to have someone nearby for whom you want to become better. Unfortunately, not all fans were happy to see the actors smiling and in love. For several months after the rumors that Keanu was engaged, a certain fan of Keanu named Catherine pursued Alexandra and posted her location in various haters' chats. The artist had to go to the Supreme Court to get a temporary protection order. Well, everyone has to fight for their love in one way or another.
I'm not a fighter, I'm a lover.
I don't know, no, because if you're a lover, you gotta be a fighter.
How so?
Because if you don't fight for your love, what kind of love do you have? No, I'm kidding.
In the spring of 2022, paparazzi shot Keanu Reeves at the window of the Irene Neuwirth jewelry store in Los Angeles. Photographers noticed that the actor was looking at rings with diamonds, aquamarine, and pearls. He left the store 40 minutes later and apparently did not leave empty-handed. This provoked another wave of engagement rumors. It will be nice if it turns out to be true, don't you agree? In 2020, Bill and Ted fans finally saw the continuation of the story. Unfortunately, not everyone returned to their old roles. George Carlin, who played Rufus in the first two films, died long before the sequel went into production. However, Kelly, the daughter of Rufus, appeared in the film. Thus, the creators decided to honor the memory of George because his real daughter is also named Kelly. One day, while filming a movie in the Louisiana area, Keanu noticed a sign on the lawn that read, "You're breathtaking." He got out of the car, went to the sign, and put his autograph, and then personally met its creator and her children to thank them for their kind words. Of course, the film didn't compare with the first part, but longtime fans were mostly satisfied. The film holds an 82% approval rating on review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes. The movie became an important event for pop culture, and signature guitar riffs and the naivety of the characters took us back to the distant 90s. The big event was the appearance of Reeves at the E3 2019 gaming conference, during which it became known that Keanu would appear in Cyberpunk 2077. He became the prototype of Johnny Silverhand, a character with a mechanical arm, a rock star, a terrorist, and a rather arrogant guy with whom the main character was forced to coexist. The conference gave us one of the brightest memes of recent years.
Is really going to be breathtaking. You're breathtaking. You're all breathtaking.
In the same year, Keanu appeared in a very extravagant cameo in the cartoon The SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run. The director of the picture said that already at the stage of writing the script, he imagined only Reeves in the form of a tumbleweed named Sage. That time, he didn't even have negotiations with the actor, and when Keanu was offered to participate, he immediately agreed. Well, Keanu loves experiments, and one of them is the Berserker comic book series, co-written by the actor and published in March of 2021. The plot of the comic was centered on a demigod half-human named B.
The story turned out to be quite cruel because the main character will agree to carry out the most dangerous missions of the US government, which in return promised to reveal to B his origin, and a way to end his earthly journey.
Everyone liked the comic so much that Netflix decided to release an animated series and a live-action movie based on Berserker. Details have not been disclosed yet, but Reeves confirmed that he does not mind playing the main role in the film. In addition, he is interested in taking the director's chair. However, according to him, the probability of this is still about 30%. 2021 saw another major resurrection of the Keanu starring franchise. The fourth part of The Matrix was released. There have been rumors about a sequel since 2011, but the Wachowski sisters have long argued that the story is over and there is no need to return to it. However, everything changed when the sisters' parents died. Grieving over the loss, Lana Wachowski came up with the concept of a new Matrix, One Sleepless Night. According to her, the Wachowskis felt that if she couldn't get her parents back, then at least she could resurrect Neo and Trinity. She decided that she would feel better seeing them alive again. Lily also stated that the film for her was associated with a number of dramatic experiences and emotions that she wouldn't want to go through again. Keanu Reeves, in turn, from the very beginning agreed to participate in the sequel, but only on the condition that the directors and screenwriters were the Wachowskis again. The first parts of The Matrix revolutionized action movies, and Lana, of course, wanted to bring something new to the industry. According to actress Jessica Henwick, the director loves running takes, so will often go 20 minutes without a single cut. Keanu and Carrie Ann decided to remember their youth on the set and jumped off a 46-story building about 20 times for one of the scenes.
And by the time you get there,
Sure.
I mean, my heart rate was a little raised, but then after the first time, you can't think of the possibility, you can't think of the fear. You have to block that, not block it, but deal with it, absorb it, and then just be there and do.
Reeves has stated that jumping off a rooftop is one of the scariest stunts he has ever done. Reaction to the film was mixed. The film was criticized for lacking the skill and originality of the first movies. Keanu himself believes that the continuation of the franchise in the first place is a love story. Not that it needed it, but certainly the depth of why this film got made is the sense of it being a love story between Trinity and Neo. The people of San Francisco were not delighted with the film. The production crew filmed some of the scenes there. In an attempt to portray realistic explosions and fights, they went overboard and accidentally damaged some of the vehicles and storefront signs. In 2021, Keanu was once again recognized as an outstanding actor by the film community. He received his star on Canada's Walk of Fame.
So wonderful. What a gift. And to the TTC, I rode a lot of buses and streetcars. You gave me the freedom to travel to get there.
Soon, Keanu returned to animation. He voiced one of the superheroes in the DC cartoon League of Super Pets. In an interview during the promo campaign, the actor admitted that he would not mind becoming part of the DC film universe. Reeves said that he dreams of playing the role of an aged Batman. By the way, in 1995, Reeves already had the opportunity to try on the image of Bruce Wayne when Tim Burton took the director's chair in the franchise instead of Joel Schumacher. But the future star of The Matrix rejected Burton's offer and the role went to Val Kilmer. In 2022, it became known that Reeves will play the main role in the series for the first time. Streaming service Hulu will adapt Eric Larson's bestseller The Devil in the White City, and Reeves will play the main role in the series. The executive producers of the series will be American Leo DiCaprio and Martin Scorsese. It isn't a bad company, is it?
Well, in 2023, what the fans were waiting for happened. John Wick Chapter 4 was released. Keanu, as usual, performs mind-blowing stunts, does somersaults on expensive cars, and beautifully destroys opponents in a perfectly sewn suit. And there was a place to turn around. Filming took place in France, Germany, New York, and Japan. The director of the new part was, as in previous parts, Chad Stahelski. And Shay Hatton and Michael Finch were screenwriters. The latter admitted in an interview that he was inspired by the works of Clint Eastwood and Zatoichi to write the script for the new part of John Wick. The new part was everything we are used to from previous works about a professional killer. But according to the actor, the creators of the picture took it to a new level. A team of actors and stuntmen trained for 12 weeks to master the entire set of tools, as the main characters call it. We took the car driving to the next level, which I really enjoy. There's 180s, forward into reverse 180s, reverse into forward 270s, and drifting. It was really fun to get a chance to learn those skills and to play. But at the same time, he said that the last part was the most physically demanding work in his career.
John Wick action asks just a little bit more, and you see the effort and the commitment from the team.
Was this the last film of the franchise? It's unknown. The producer of the picture, Basil Ilwanik, claimed that Keanu begged them to kill the main character already. The actor was tired of the exhausting character because, as we all know, Reeves tried to perform all the tricks himself and is always diligently preparing for filming. After the second, third, and fourth movie, making these films is so exhausting and it destroys Keanu physically and emotionally, exclaimed Ilwanik. By the end, he's always like, I can't do this again, and we agree with him. The guy is just a shell of himself because he just goes off and goes for it. He was like, I want to be definitively killed at the end of this movie. And we were like, we'll leave a 10% little opening. Keanu commented more definitively. I don't know, I guess I'm going to have to lean on never say never. We'd have to see what that looked like. For me, it feels really right that John Wick finds peace. The actor calls the filming scenes of his hero's death as amazing ones, claiming that the whole story of Wick is a path to his death. John Wick Chapter 4 has become the highest grossing part of the entire series at the moment, having collected $432 million worldwide. The picture received a lot of positive reviews for the choreography of tricks, plot, graphics, and of course, for the play of the main actor. It's an epic with smart pacing that never lets the action feel exhausting. And the set pieces are phenomenal. Cinema Blend critic Eric Eisenberg wrote in his post, "Great cast of series newcomers, but Donnie Yen is the MVP." At the moment, several spin-offs of the popular franchise are planned, including the miniseries The Continental, from the world of John Wick under the direction of Albert Hughes, which was released in September of this year, as well as the upcoming action movie Ballerina by Len Wiseman, where Keanu has already planned an extended cameo. Therefore, the question of whether John Wick has finally died remains open.
Have we gone too far?
In addition to a skilled killer, Keanu Reeves is expected to return to the role of John Constantine in 2024 under the direction of Francis Lawrence, known for the film I Am Legend. It is planned that the continuation of the cult film about The Exorcist and The Medium will become part of the updated DC film universe. But at the moment, the question of creating a sequel remains in question, so there were rumors about the cancellation of filming on the network, and nothing has been heard about the film itself for a long time. But Keanu is not sitting idly by. The musical rock band Dogstar, in which Reeves plays the bass guitar, is back together and has released a new video for the song Everything Turns Around.
Keanu Reeves has come a long way, full of challenges that many people have never faced before. He lost loved ones, his films failed, and he was repeatedly nominated for the Golden Raspberry. But Keanu each time found the strength to continue doing his life's work. We hope that Keanu Reeves will find happiness because he deserves it like nobody else. And if you want to know all the details about one of his best films, The Matrix, click here. Here, you will find crazy theories and references that only a small percentage of viewers noticed. And you will also find out what hidden meaning the Wachowski sisters put into this franchise. Follow the link and watch. And that's all for today. It was Biographer. We will be grateful for your likes and look forward to seeing you in the new videos. Bye-bye.